sometimes you have a really great opening of a podcast and it was going really well, and then some motherfucker is like, wait, hold on, I have to stop this and we have to start all over again.
Yeah,
And
it's
that was
okay, PJ.
not me.
Thank you. I forgive you for doing that. It's okay. Don't worry about it.
You son of a bitch. How dare you try to throw me under the bus? We were really vibing too, and then you were like, nah, man, I gotta go do something.
Yeah. Sometimes, stuff happens and you gotta take care of it. And
It was the producer being loud in the background and you had to go deal with it.
Yeah, that was exactly it. Actually, more than Jack got involved, and then it's all over the place. And then
man, Jack, what an asshole that Jack is.
He is. He's indeed an asshole.
He's an asshole. We love him, but he's an asshole.
Absolutely.
But
absolutely. But I'm gonna sum up what we did last time.
No, I'm gonna do this. It's fine. It's fine. So it's a really nice week when we watch a movie and neither of us has to text the other one to try to be like, man, like hype them up or be like, butter them up a little bit about the movie that we just watched, because we're not quite sure. Like one of us might have been like, man, I don't like that as much as I used to, or whatever it is.
Right.
That doesn't happen with a movie like Men in Black.
There's no revelations, no big time discoveries. We know exactly how we feel. We've seen it enough times that this is more of a pleasure watch than everything else. I barely take any notes. It is definitely not something that changes. Like we definitely have some, like last week we did on our Patreon, rather. We did Avengers Age of Ultron for our MCU rewatch, and I'm not going to spoil anything like that because you got to pay for it to go get that. But
that was so smooth, by the way. I'm not going to spoil anything because fuck you, you have to pay, but still.
But I will say, like, it is funny. That's the kind of movie that I have changed over the years after a couple of viewings of it or whatever. This one I've seen so many times and I've rocked out to it as seen by the video our producer sent in our group chat of me being the whitest white boy ever dancing along to Men in Black by Will Smith.
Until you opened the camera today with me bouncing out to it, over here on my end.
I was looking at a younger version of myself, pretty much. I just felt like,
yeah. It's so funny because last December I drove up to San Diego to go to his concert, his first concert in a long time, and I legitimately was like, I like his music, but I'm here for one song, and if this one song doesn't happen, it's going to be a problem for everybody involved. Because all I wanted to do was hear Men in Black live on stage, to live in that moment, because to me, like, that is an all-time song. It is on just about every playlist I will ever make, and it has been on every CD or playlist I've made since 1997. I fucking love that song. I almost might love the song more than the movie, which is saying something, because I fucking love this movie.
I mean, it is in association with Will playing this character. It is Will Smith at his Will Smithiest.
Yes,
for sure.
I mean, I think this movie might be Will Smithy at his Will Smithiest, of course.
Yeah, well, definitely, it's definitely this run. Like, you got to throw a little bit of Independence Day in there and a little bit of Wild Wild West. But that era of Smith is very Will Smith being Will Smith.
I don't know if we talk about Wild Wild West, though, other than the fact that Barry Sonnenfeld also directed that. And
there's another banger song.
Well, there's a banger song, but the movie less so.
It's still fun. It's not the same ballpark as Men in Black, but it is still fun. But it is Will Smith being Will Smith, though. It is very much a Will Smith character. Let's be honest with ourselves. I mean, Will Smith is a good actor. He's actually disappeared into roles before. He disappeared into Ali, King Richard. He disappeared into Pursuit of Happiness. But there is a time when Will Smith basically turns on the Will Smith of it all, and Men in Black is that kind of time. But luckily, that Will Smith is very charming, entertaining, and funny, and you like to watch that Will Smith. So they don't mind when he turns on the Will Smith.
He's like the best version of Will Smith every time that he is at his most Will Smithy. And so for me, this movie was such a important moment in time for me. I think being the age I was when it came out, because it was the summer of '97, so I was 7 years old, and the marketing campaign for this movie, as it was in the '90s, was like everywhere. Like they were pushing this movie like it was the best thing since we put toast in a oven and called it bread, like bread in a toaster and called it. Yeah, you know what I'm saying. The
I
point
do know what
is,
you're
it's
saying.
early. I've had no caffeine. Anyway, to say all that, like I remember Burger King pushing this movie like crazy. They were selling like little toys and things like that with it. You could go get the little neuralizer thing. I desperately wanted one back then. The song was huge. The music video was huge. It was everywhere. You couldn't get away from Men in Black. And when it opened, my parents weren't sure if they wanted to take me, so they went to see it without me.
Oh wow, how dare you!
And they came back and they were like, "Oh, it was so good." And I was like, "You went to go see it without me?" And I was big mad. So eventually they took me to go see it. And the rest is history. I have probably seen this movie over 100 times.
I
Easy in
don't
my
doubt
life.
it's funny. Like you might like be surprised as much like that. It wasn't quite the same for me. I think it was a little older than you. It came out, and to me, it was one of a slew of like those Will Smith properties, like a little Independence Day that was coming out and everything else. The song was everywhere. And the line of dialogue that is still everywhere today, no matter where you go, what you hear, like 50 years from now, you'll just see Will Smith will stand up somewhere in a screen with a suit on and say, the difference between this, me? I
I
make
make
this look
this
good.
look good.
And that is like the biggest, like, even if you've never seen the movie before, you've seen that somewhere. And so it's definitely out in the world like that. It wasn't as seminal a film for me, like if you compare it to like the original Ghostbusters. The original Ghostbusters was this for me. Like that's what that was for me. Because a little bit old, like I said, a little older than you. So I went during the 80s, and that was the thing, same type of thing. It was everywhere. It made its name. I wanted to go see that then and there. This is the time when this came out in 1997. I was in college. So I was busy definitely partying with aliens, let alone watching aliens. So it didn't like quite like my radar as much as it did for you. But it definitely was something that I definitely watched and wanted to see more of, and was excited because we talked about earlier in July when we saw Superman. And Superman was kind of unafraid to be a comic book movie and that kind of thing. This really is a movie that was unafraid to be a comic book kind of movie.
Yeah.
The same things. Wild, wacky, great practical-ish effects at times, and like these like wonky practical effects, but not in a bad way. It's like these things that are like, it's not trying to look real. It's just trying to look bizarre and kitschy and comic book, and it works. And it's silly. And that's what made it such a good movie.
It's so funny because it's so not like the comics it's based on too, because the comics are actually a lot darker and a lot more serious. And I actually appreciated the approach in the movie, because I think this kind of ushered in the era of comic book movies allowing themselves to be kind of unabashedly themselves for like a hot minute before we ended up with, Batman Begins.
Right.
Kind of shifting that narrative. And that's not a dig necessarily. I actually think it got worse with The Dark Knight, because I think The Dark Knight, being the juggernaut of a movie it was the one that kind of blew the doors off, as it were, to make things a lot more grounded and a lot more gritty and a lot more serious. That is not this movie. Ed Solomon, who wrote Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, Bogus Journey, and Face the Music, was the writer of this film. And it's so funny because this movie had like a pretty turbulent behind the scenes to make it to screen.
Yeah. True.
And you would never know it watching the movie. But like, this was a movie where Tommy Lee Jones was fighting with the director because Barry Sonnenfeld said, "I want you to keep playing the role straight." And he was like, "I don't think that I'm funny." Like, he was going to quit acting over this movie.
I remember that.
And then he saw the dailies and he goes, "Oh, you're right. I'm really funny in this." But he really didn't believe what he was doing. He didn't really necessarily want to work with Will Smith. Will Smith turned down the role. He didn't want to do another movie with aliens. Steven Spielberg wanted Chris O'Donnell to be Agent J, which I can't even imagine.
What a weird choice that would have been.
Yeah. I don't think I'd have liked that. I can't
No,
see it. I can't see it at all.
it's
But
not even a
like the
slight
most
on Chris O'Donnell. It's a different, such a different take on the film that like it'd be much too serious, I think, in a way. Like not that Chris O'Donnell's like he could definitely can't pull up comedy, but like it just feels like that's like a Will Smith allowed to get that to that obnoxious cartoony level that we really needed, and I think it would have been too subtle with Chris O'Donnell in there.
100%. And so the more I think about it, the more I'm like, huh, don't love that idea. And then I guess the craziest thing for me is this movie is 97 minutes. You would never really know it. Like this movie flies by, and it's so full of information and lore and world building and characters and all these things, and not a single part of it ever feels out of place. And yet the movie was actually originally longer and a lot more convoluted and more lore heavy and had more stuff about this like big intergalactic war that we get caught in the middle of, that they cut basically all of it out
Mm-hmm.
and streamlined the movie to the movie that we got. And ultimately, I think that was probably for the better, because this movie, much like Ghostbusters, is about a bunch of blue collar people doing their day in and day out job, but instead of dealing with ghosts, they're dealing with aliens. And that's kind of why we're pairing these together, because as we've talked about in the past, like these IPs have crossed over in comic books and video games, and like there's definitely a sense of like samesies to them in a
Right.
fun way. Like they're very adjacent properties. Enough that I'm shocked to say that Sony has not tried to cross them over. Like it only kind of makes sense to do a movie where you would have had the Ghostbusters and the Men in Black together, because why can't there be alien ghosts or
Right.
something like that? Like the idea of the Ghostbusters, who are so in the public eye, who people love them, this idea that they would be working with a team that wants nothing to do with the public, who has to pretend that they don't exist. Like there would be such a fun play with that. And
I feel like we talk about that a lot. I feel like the problem is that studios don't have the imagination to do a lot of crossover movies. They don't like think about that enough, or they think maybe I don't know if it's the right stuff or what it is, but they feel like it's too difficult to do. But we talked about that with like we mentioned that earlier with Beverly Hills Cop and Bad Boys, we do Ghostbusters, Men in Black. There's plenty of properties out there that it would be a gold mine just for interest alone, just for the novelty sake alone, that gets people in the theater. And then they get it, you sit down with the right writer, the right director, the right cast, right, bring back the nostalgic favorites. You could make serious bank and tell a fun story to a group, to two groups of fans. You're appealing to two fan bases. Who wouldn't want to see that? I don't know. I don't know what stops them from like thinking about that. I think it's too far out of the box for them or something. I don't understand, to be honest with you.
I don't either. And I have to assume that, like, credit where credit's due in some capacity, even though it never happened. Like, it wasn't as if Sony was against crossing Men in Black over with things, because we got very close to the Jump Street Men in Black film that we just never got. Not because the script was bad. Everyone who had the script and read the script said the script was great. The biggest issue was just cost. It was going to cost too much money to make.
Which makes sense.
Which makes sense. It was going to be a very expensive movie, especially comparative to what the Jump Street movies already had been to that point, which was not hugely budgeted films. Like they were big movies, but you're talking a Men in Black level of money being spent on a sequel to a in joke, basically.
Right. And that, I guess I could understand that. It just seems like when you got two franchises, those franchises actually make less sense crossing over than something like this, or than something like the long-standing Transformers G.I. Joe thing. Those kind of films, they're in the same ballpark, they're in the same budget-wise. Those make sense to cross over in ways. That's what makes it less understandable for these.
100%. So that being said, that's kind of how we ended up here, and it's very funny because I had a strange revelatory moment, as it were, watching this. One that I didn't really anticipate having. And I had this realization that Men in Black is the movie about Winston Zeddemore if Winston Zeddemore is the main character of your film and is put into the world that we see. Because you're basically following his character, as it were, drawn into this world, and this time we follow him because Will's character is a lot like him in a lot of ways. You know, I mean, a little bit more active, obviously, but you get this character who, you know, give me a paycheck, I'll believe anything you want. Right. So there is something to be said about that, and I thought that was kind of fun.
Yeah, I can see that. Interesting way to look at it. I never thought that way, but you're not wrong. You're not far out of it. I mean, it is the entry point into the new world. Like with Ghostbusters, we are going along with the boys, so they already know what's going on. So they're kind of teaching us. But you're right. Will Smith is like the audience in a way. We're just learning this alongside them, and that was one of the best parts of the film. Is that opening sequence with Will Smith? Is his introduction to the world that way, because we have to see that with him and see his like wonder and stuff. Like, oh, when he starts doing jumps real high, when he starts climbing the walls, when his eyes go, you know, he blinks both sets of eyes.
Yeah,
it's that kind of fun. Like, oh, we're going to discover this with you now. It's kind of like, to be honest with you, like it's much like how later on Harry Potter was when Harry Potter went into the world of magic. Also, like this whole new world that wasn't around, we had no idea about. And here we are. There's a Diagon Alley full of Rip Torns and.
I want an entire Diagon Alley of Rip Torns right now. Just a full Diagon Alley of Rip Torns wherever you look.
That's what this podcast gives you. That's what the podcast gives you. It's just like that. But you're right. No, but that's what makes it good because you get to go along on that journey. In fact, I think it's kind of like what works for this movie series throughout because we still kind of go with Will Smith along the way. We'll get into those when we get to Men Black 2 and 3 and everything else. But we are not the Tommy Lee Jones side of things. We get to see it from definitely Will Smith's side for sure.
Oh, 100%. And I have to say, it's really funny because we've talked about it a lot again, I'm not going to say a lot because motherfuckers, you better be paying for the Patreon to listen to us talk about the MCU. But one of the things that I really do enjoy in some of these, but get a little burned out on sometimes, is origin stories.
Right.
And this is kind of fun because it's not necessarily an origin story. It's more of you're thrown into the world and you're watching a particular character become one with that world, but he's still the person that he is. And so I really appreciate that. And again, I think that this film in particular is one of the best versions of doing that. And I think it's also because this movie is really smart and it's really funny.
Right. It is. And that's what keeps it going. Because like you said, it's a 97-minute runtime, so it speeds through. But there's never I don't know how long, there's never a long pause between some kind of joke, some kind of humor, some kind of snip, or some kind of wow factor. There's no time to slow things down. It's always something that's going to catch your eye or catch your funny bone, or as you were. And they do the smart thing by incorporating the world in with the lore. So just like all the celebrities that are aliens. That's something that's it's an easy joke to pick up on. You can always throw anybody in there. If we made this film today, you would throw up all sorts of different people. JD Vance would be up there as an alien. It'd be all sorts of people we didn't like. You know what I'm saying? Like that's the thing back then, but that's an easy joke to make. But they make the easy joke unless you laugh with it, and then they build on those easy jokes so to build up even further and make it funnier. It's a very smart comedy. It's a very smart comedy.
Well, sure. It's also one that really is willing to grapple with how we look at life in the universe, which is something I really appreciate. And there's one quote from the movie that even almost 30 years later, good Lord, almost 30 years later, that still continues to stand the test of time and becomes very true. And it's the moment before Jay has decided if he's even going to join the Men in Black. Like he goes through the process after everything and he's sitting outside and he's talking to Kay and he goes, why is all of this a big secret? Like people are smart. They can handle this. And Kay goes, a person is smart. People are dumb, panicky, dangerous animals. And you know it. 1,500 years ago, everybody knew the earth was the center of the universe. 500 years ago, everybody knew that the earth was flat. And 15 minutes ago, you knew that humans were alone on this planet. Imagine what you'll know tomorrow. What a fucking amazing line that opens up your entire world and perspective to the way that you look at things and how much things change and how little we always know, even though we say how much we know.
We always concentrate on how far we've gotten or how far we've come. We don't think about where we're going sometimes, and as far as that goes. And you're right. It is like it's like combined with the old saying, anything that's whatever, anything that any science that's advanced enough just looks like magic to other people. So depending on where you are in the spectrum at that point. And that's the same case here. We don't know things until we know them. And when we do find out something that blows our mind like that, that's makes you feel small and insignificant compared to the rest of the galaxy. And that's one of the things that make this work is like, I gotta be honest, it's kind of amazing that we meet Kay's partner, D, in the beginning, and he retires, right? That's the catalyst for bringing Will Smith on, so he's gonna retire. And it's surprisingly touching. And like given like the fact that we know him for like 2 minutes.
Yeah, like nothing at all. By the way, the opening of this movie, brilliant.
Oh, brilliant with the bug opening.
Well, all of it, like the setup of all of it, where we're following it through the credits, long lingering shots of space while the bug is flying around, which comes to D talking about looking at the stars later, but also like it kind of has this whole moment where it pokes at again 30 years ago. Border Patrol and a bunch of people talking about illegal aliens and stuff, and then like Kay makes that like rugged comment where he's like, "Yeah, go back to collecting actual dangerous aliens," and like, but it's like real, like cold blooded because he knows that they're wrong for what they're doing.
Keep protecting us from the dangerous aliens. Yeah,
Yeah.
I love that. I heard that. It was one of the quotes I actually heard. I love that one. But D's retirement after that is very just touching. They sitting down like you don't know him. He's talking about how he's like he's older and he's seeing the science. He's seeing like the stars and he's actually looking at the stars for the first time in like a long time and everything else. And it's a nice moment. And it obviously couples later on when we discover that Kay is supposedly planning his retirement, not just his partner's, like not just getting a new partner, actually replacing him. It's mirrored that same way, and you get I think it's a great idea to set it up right in the beginning to show us that in the beginning, and it works. It works, like I said, like even though we just met D, it still works. And then by the end, when we get it, we get that repeat, that coda of it, and this time it's after we've gone through so much with Kay that it resounds even further and harder with us at that point.
Well, and not just that. I'll go a step further, and this is looking ahead a little bit without spoiling all of it, but that actually plays even further once we get to Men in Black 3.
Mm-hmm.
And you realize how far that story has gone,
right.
And why he has chosen him and stuff like that. Like, it's actually kind of wild.
Yeah, I agree. It's been a long. I have only seen Men in Black 3 one time.
Oh my God.
Only once. And it was recently. It wasn't like too long ago. I didn't see it when it came out in the theaters. I was not really going back to movies completely yet at that point. And I was kind of like over Men in Black at that point too. I was like, it was kind of like a forgotten franchise for me. I was like, okay, I'd like to see it eventually. Maybe I will. And then just never did. And then like, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago during Schmodown era, I was like, all right, I'm going to sit down. And I actually didn't watch this. Let me watch this. And I fell in love with it right away. I really can't wait to rewatch it now. But it definitely hit me hard. Even like, I think even being as old, even like older than it was, because it came out in like 2012, I think.
2011 or 2012, yeah.
Which is a long time for that sequel to have come out. Because like Men in Black 97, like Men in Black 2 was only a couple years.
2002.
2002? Still pretty long for a sequel at the time. But then in 2012, it's like, wow, holy shit. But at the same time, like what was great about that was seeing how Kay developed. Like, would you couple it with the end of Men in Black 1, and how it works for it? So I love that aspect. That's why I love that movie so much, and I can't wait to get back and talk about that one in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, same, because I genuinely love that third movie very, very, very much. And what the ramifications, as it were, looking back at the franchise and like where it starts and stuff. Like it just it hits different. It just hits different. There's no other way to say it, and I really appreciate it for that. But it all comes down to this movie, honestly. And one of the things that I love about the film, outside of like Will Smith and Tommy Lee Jones, are amazing. Tommy Lee Jones genuinely almost steals the movie from Will Smith at moments just by being Tommy Lee Jones. The dude is ridiculously good, but it's really the supporting cast throughout, when you have dudes like Rip Torn and Vincent D'Onofrio and Tony Shalhoub, who like all pop in for little scenes and are just dynamite every single time they're on screen.
Absolutely. And I want to throw out there for Tommy Lee Jones, it takes a perfect straight man to balance to Will Smith's comic man, and Tommy Lee Jones does it so magically with such a twinkle that it just works. And I agree with you. But it is also, I agree with you, Vincent D'Onofrio, perfect job in that. Even if your boy Bruce Campbell was initially offered the role at one point.
I know. And Bruce would have been amazing. Don't get me wrong, but I think D'Onofrio's on another level. Not that it's funny because there are certain scenes in this where I can definitely see my boy being that character.
100%. It's a very Campbell-esque role. Let me be honest. It's Bruce Campbell, not PJ Campbell, but Bruce Campbell-esque role.
Yes, but at the same time, I think the reason that it works and it's so good is because D'Onofrio fucking goes for it. And it's funny because not that I don't think Bruce wouldn't, but I'll go this far. I actually think it's a mistake that D'Onofrio did not get nominated for Best Supporting Actor for this movie.
Wow. Okay.
He is fucking incredible in it because it takes a real actor to just go completely off the rails in a role like this. And the way he plays it when you first meet him into the initial like 4 minutes after that, once the bug has killed him and taken over the body, the performance is so unhinged.
It is in the best way possible.
Yeah.
And you know why that works so well, especially that beginning section also? I want to throw out some credit to Siobhan Fallon Hogan, who plays his wife.
Yes.
His wife is so good in like this like kind of deadpan, but not quite deadpan, but like she plays it in such a unique kind of fashion where she doesn't go over the top with it. She gives an operator something to bounce off of really well, and gives Tommy Lee Jones and Will Smith later on same type of thing, bounce off of. She is so good. I noted that in my notes, like saying how much I actually really, in a small role, she really hit the mark.
Yeah, she's really good, and it's again, I think that's one of the things I really appreciate about this movie is that I feel like everyone who is in it really comes to play.
Right. Never seen Sugar do that.
Yes.
Just like deadpan.
It's so fun. And Tony Shalhoub as Jack Jeeves, the owner of the pawn shop, is just one of those perfect one single scenes in a movie that you can ask for, where an actor also just incredibly leaves their mark on a movie. Like, I can't think of this movie without thinking about that scene because it's also the first time that Will Smith's character, after running down the cephalopoid, now sees another different type of alien, and that entire situation is amazing. And him trying to be like the good cop in the bad cop situation, and then having Kay just straight up shoot Jack Jeeves,
right,
and being horrified by it, only to have moments later see the head grow back and being more horrified by that. It's amazing.
It is. A whole bit of that is good, and that's because Tommy Lee Jones plays it so well as well, just because they have that moment of complete and utter like not reacting to it, and because he's been there for like years. But Tony Shalhoub is a phenomenal choice for that role and for any role. He's a great actor anyway. But give him a little bit of rope, and he just has that kind of unhingedness in himself. That like, especially if you think of it as an alien character, Tony Shalhoub almost feels like an alien with like the way he like his roles go. So it is a perfect choice for him to play that role.
You gave it to an undocumented alien, Jeeves, you piece of shit. He looked okay to me. I'm going to come back here to talk to you about those Rolexes. He's so funny in this, man. Like, it's so good. I really love this movie. I really appreciate this movie for those moments because, again, it can feel like a series of vignettes in a way. There's a storyline, but there's kind of just like this fun vignette nature to the shenanigans that they get into throughout it also. Whether it's Jay like being swung around by an octopus giving birth to an octopus, that whole sequence, and then getting in the car and Kay just going, did anything about that seem unusual to you? And he's just covered in squid juice. To him going into the MIB headquarters and him being like, well, how do we fund all this? And then accidentally using the little balls that made the New York blackout happen.
Damn. There is nothing better
pay for that
than Will Smith sounding awkward after something. Because that's what he does. It's so funny he does that. He starts to, like, the same thing the Rolex is trying to sound tough after you just got into that world and everything else. Oh, damn, I'll pay for that kind of thing. Oh, it's so fun.
That was my bad, guys. It was an accident.
I love the Will Smith one-liner. He has a bunch of them in there. I love that. Like when he goes into the Men in Black place to get the test for the first time. Like, you boy, Captain America over here.
Yeah.
So good.
Oh, that whole scene when they're doing the training of like trying to be in the Men in Black is perfect. Just to see it. And it leads to arguably what I think is one of the funniest bits of any movie ever, which is they go to the shooting range.
Right.
And he takes a single shot. Like all these cops and military people are shooting all the aliens. And then he takes one single shot, and Zed walks in, and he goes, Edwards, what happened? Do you want to tell me why you just thought little Tiffany deserved to die? And it's just this little girl. And he goes through this whole soliloquy about how he's like, well, I saw this dude, and he's just working out. Like, how do I feel someone jump into walk into the gym and bust me on my ass while I'm on the treadmill? And then I see this snarling dude over here, and I realize he's not snarling, he's sneezing. But then I see little Tiffany, little 8-year-old white girl walking through the hood with a physics book. She's going to start some shit, Zed. Or do I owe little Tiffany an apology?
I know that Zed doesn't say anything after whether or not it was right or not.
His face says it all, honestly, dude. His face says it all. It's a perfect moment. It's so funny. And it's like, again, it's because Rip Torn plays it straight. It's because Will plays it so well. And when he's like, and I'd appreciate if you ease up off my back about it. It's just so choice and so good. Oh my God, I just used choice like we were back in the 90s.
That's great. It is. That's exactly, you really kind of hit the nail on the head as far as what makes this film work. And it is the Will Smith craziness, but it's also the straight playing of everybody else, like completely, like this world is their world, as like chaotic and as like cartoonish and over the top as it is. To them, it's the real world, and they deal with it every day. So it's like that to them is their struggling 9-to-5 job for everybody else. Like we're just like, yep, that just clocking at the office. That's what you got. Like even lines like, and the twins here, and Bob.
And Bob.
But he plays it just like that's not weird. That's not weird to them. Nothing is weird to them. Like it's all normal, and that's what makes it work. It makes you accept that world. It makes Will Smith kind of like try to accept that world, and that's part of the fun, is watching that and getting there with us. But at the end, we're accepting that as like, sure, yeah, of course, those towers are spaceships that are flying up. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, there was even that. There's that moment where at one point Jay goes, "Does anyone sleep around here?" And Rip Torn looks at him and goes, well, we're on the twins keep us on a 37-hour workday. You'll get used to it in a few months, or you'll have a complete mental breakdown. And Jay's face is just like, what? And Zed just doesn't look like he cares. It's just normal.
That's what he does. That's what they do. Absolutely. I also love, speaking of that moment, the moments like that, and these kind of like iconic moments, our producer noticed something that I never noticed before, and I probably should have noticed it. But when Will Smith gets to talk about his teacher, who he thought was an alien, where is that teacher from? West Philadelphia.
I don't know.
Philadelphia, born and raised.
Oh my God, is it really? I never noticed that before. That is hysterical, actually.
I was like, shit, you're right, Kim. You're right. It is. It's got to be a note, right? It's got to be.
Damn
That's
it.
got to be another
We
reason,
actually
right?
have to keep the producer around.
I know, right?
She's finding things I never noticed. I love that Stallone is one of the aliens.
So good.
That's always so funny to me.
And I love the fact that they use Rodman as the joke later on. Like they don't put him up there as the opposite one, but like when they talk about the end, and Tarantino's like, "Yep, well, Robin's got it." Or he's like, "Robin's got. He's one of those guys." Like, really, Robin? That's not much of a disguise.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, dude, it's so good. And I'll say this: Linda Florentino is quite good in this. It's another one of those. I feel bad because she clashed with everyone on set, and that's like one of those things that you hear about a lot with the movies she's been involved in. Because like she's one of the few people who like never worked with Kevin Smith again after Dogma and stuff like that. Like you kind of hear those stories, and it's a bummer because she's very talented and she's very good in this.
I will say, Kevin Smith later on came out and said that they did reconnect after his heart attack. And he felt bad about like some of the stuff he said. Like, because one of the things that started off everything was that in the commentary, he mentioned that Janine Garofalo was in it, and maybe Janine Garofalo would have been a better Linda's part than Linda was, because Linda was notoriously difficult. I will admit, and this is on my end, I think it's because I listened to Kevin Smith for a while, and I've heard all these horror stories, like such as that if the rumors are true, I don't know how true it is, Tommy Lee Jones was not going to return for Men in Black 2 if Linda Fiorentino came back.
Yeah.
That's what I heard too. So like with all that in mind, it kind of colors how I look at her in a way. And I try to separate art from artist. I do all the time, but like I'm not a big fan of her. I can't point out because you're not wrong. It's not like she does anything wrong in the movie. She's actually kind of fun, but like something about her on screen, just I can't help but see the behind the scenes stuff, and so it kind of takes me out when it shouldn't. That makes sense. So
no, it makes total sense. I get it. There is those times. Yeah. That's just what it is.
Absolutely. It's unfortunate because like she does do a decent enough job. It does definitely colors it for me a little bit.
Yeah, I get it. But I do like her in this. I think she actually has quite good chemistry with Will. They have a couple of very good scenes together.
I think it's hard not to have chemistry with Will Smith. I think he just is that kind of actor where you get along with him.
Yeah.
As far as that goes, I feel like that's. I mean, I could be projecting, but I just feel like that's the case. I don't know of any movie I can think of that he doesn't have pretty decent chemistry with his co-star. Can you off the top of your head? I can't think of anything that I really like. I can't think of anything off the top of my head that really makes it like he does. Yeah, I think some actors just have that kind of magic ability to just gel with people. And I think he's one of those people.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. I really appreciate that though. There's a couple of, like I said, there's a couple of really great scenes in it, obviously. Like with them together in the morgue. I just really appreciate the movie is willing and daring to be so strange.
Oh yeah. But so straight about being so strange too.
Yeah.
It's like that really magic chemical balance there.
Yeah, because it's kind of deranged, honestly.
Oh, yeah.
The more I rewatch it, and as an adult, I love it. I think it's amazing. But it's so deranged in such a strange way. And I love that because one of the things Sonnenfeld's always been good at, if you watch The Addams Family or The Addams Family Values, or you watch this, he was always very good at that. Like, he takes things and makes them so strange and so deranged and so over the top, but because they're already a part of the fabric of the world that the characters live in, everyone else might see it as weird, but to everyone around it, it's normal.
Right.
And so everything going on is just another day for everybody.
Like I said, just clocking in.
Yeah, just clocking in. And on it, I think that's why the opening of the movie with Jay, where we're kind of thrust into it, him chasing down this alien and he has no idea about it, and it kind of makes us wake up to the world, and I really love that. And it's so fun. It just be random black people in New York. That foot chase is terrific.
Oh, absolutely. And then the follow up to that too, I love that it's the very Will Smith lines, the whole like, what is it? Well, some of the other officers are a little soggy around the midsection. You're half the man. I am half the man you are.
You are. Oh, it's so good, dude.
10 minutes on a treadmill. So funny stuff there.
It's so interesting too. We talk about this movie now and like how much we love it. Sometimes I forget just how impactful the movie was, like on a grander scale. Because did you realize that Men in Black held the record for highest opening weekend for an action comedy until 2001 when Rush Hour 2 surpassed it?
I did not. Yeah. That makes sense though, because that's how big it was. I also forget how big it was. Like I said, because especially because that wasn't my time frame or whatever. It was there. The fact that I knew about it as much as I did actually says something, because I didn't know much about a lot of movies at the time. I was kind of like college, partying, all that stuff. But you're right. That was such a grandstanding kind of thing that it became a fabric of society, really. Everybody knew what that movie was. Everybody knew Will Smith was. Everybody knew this Tommy Lee Jones, who was an Academy Award nominee. He also was almost thrust back into the limelight for different things now at this point, for a comic. Amazing that he's so comic oriented, even after Batman Forever.
Yeah.
Similarly, at that point. Same year, I think, actually, right? Batman Forever, 97, right? So, or was that 95?
No, it was the same year. Men in Black was the third highest grossing movie of its year, behind Batman Forever and The Lost World.
Gotcha. Okay, gotcha.
Which, again, think about that. Batman Forever and The Lost World and Men in Black.
Yeah. Amazing.
That's crazy.
Which is what makes it so strange for me overall. We'll talk about this more in the next couple of weeks or next month or so. But we get a sequel in 2002 and then nothing till 2012. This feels like it should have been a big franchise. It should have been a big trilogy within 5 years. We should have had a trilogy by 2002. And then a spin-off, maybe a series, maybe it should have been, there should have been a lot more going on. I'm not certain how it went down so quickly, but I guess we'll discuss that when we get to Men in Black 2.
I think I can say on the outside, at least, it seemed like because Men in Black 2 had as many issues as it did behind the scenes, most of it involving having to change the third act, number one, because of 9/11.
Right.
So the movie got pushed back. They had to change the ending. And then it wasn't as well received. And I think that they felt like they couldn't go back to that well unless they felt like they had something to say. And then they kept running into they couldn't break the story. They couldn't break the story. They couldn't break the story. And then eventually they did. But even then, every one of these movies had problems behind the scenes. Every single one. Men in Black 3, most notoriously, Sony almost pulled the plug while it was shooting.
Which is amazing to me.
Yeah. Enough that Sonnenfeld and Will were having problems on set and weren't getting along. That movie had a pretty tumultuous period, but at the end of the day, they got through it and the movie got made. And I think the franchise is better for it. But I'm with you. I'm a little surprised still to this day that we didn't get more of it. And we've had 4 movies. That's it in 30 years.
And that fourth movie is so really detached.
Yeah, it's its own thing completely.
I mean, I almost feel like that could have been done much earlier too. You could have had Men in Black and a Men in Black International, could have been its own little mini franchise off to the side, so to speak, in a way. But yeah, I will get to that when we get to that. It was kind of I think it was a wrong idea the way they rebooted it. I think it was kind of a not so smart way to reboot it in a way. I mean, it might have been the only way they could reboot it, so take a swing. But I understand why it wasn't as successful or as well received.
Right.
The franchise. So
no, you're not wrong. But it's so funny because kind of like Ghostbusters, it surprises me that it stalled out as hard as it did. Because looking back at this first one, man, it's hard to imagine you couldn't keep going because it really gives you unlimited possibilities.
The lore is there also. It's built-in lore and built-in characters and everything else. I mean, maybe Tommy Lee Jones couldn't be there forever because that's part of the thing about it. But even he gets to come back for the sequels. But Will Smith is that lead, and he's young and he just started out. He could go on for a long time doing stuff with this, and he should have been involved throughout the entirety. And
no doubt,
I think that's one of the main reasons why if Will Smith had been in Men in Black International, we could have had a different story potentially.
Yeah. And again, we'll get to that when we get to
Yeah,
that, but I definitely feel like there is argument and time and place to have that conversation.
right. 100%.
What stands out to you all these years later, like with this movie in particular? What do you take away from it when you're watching it that even like you're like, damn, I can't believe they got away with this. I can't believe this movie works the way that it does. Like, what stands out to you?
I think it was like I kind of mentioned it earlier, but it's the freedom they had with how they went about the craziness in a way. Like I said, it's like the special effects that are like during this time they were trying to push special effects into this more realism kind of thing. They were trying to get more realistic special effects. They're trying to get things more grounded. Started to get more grounded in a way. And here is this movie going completely into an old school direction, like a throwback era kind of thing, where we're going to put like 50s B sci-fi monsters up on the screen, and you're not only gonna like accept it, you're gonna love it for it. You don't like love it. Oh, you know what? The special effects could have been better, but no, you love it because it's so cheesy and B. It's like a B film. It really inspired a love of B films. To be honest.
Yeah. No, 100%. I'm with you. I think the creature feature stuff really is what stands out for me a lot of the time. The humor and the look of it all, because it feels so surreal. And I think they were so smart setting it in New York.
Yes.
Because it's so true that New Yorkers are just going to kind of look the other way while a lot of this stuff is happening anyway, and you're not going to notice it.
Yeah. It was New York or LA were the only two real options.
No, yeah, 100%. Like I can't imagine it. Maybe Boston.
Maybe.
But like you really couldn't pick a better place for it. And even using like the World's Fair backdrop of like that's why the saucers are there.
Yeah.
You know? Like I love that. I love all of that.
All dudes.
Oh my God. It's so good, man. And this movie, I must credit Ed Solomon. It's got a real good script that is really, really funny, that has a lot of really great dialogue. It continues to be quotable to this day.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, because of the dialogue, it's not only the dialogue, it's how the dialogue is performed. And I want to throw in there what makes this work sometimes for me also is that all this wonkiness aside, all the wonkiness that we go through and all the like holy shit getting into this world, living this world with Will Smith's character, there are a couple of really truly heartfelt moments that hit. Which is hard to do in a film like this, but just so built on wow and cartoonishness and all. But they hit like the moments like when Will Smith's looking out at the sun, like after you mentioned that before, when he takes that whole night of like after the philosophical holy shit discussion about like what we know,
Is
what
it
we don't
worth
know.
it?
Right?
Yeah, it's worth it.
And then when he goes like, "You're better to have loved than lost," try it. Bam!
Again, we learn so much about those characters
without knowing anything. We don't know anything, but we still learn about the characters. That's the thing. Like, what do we know about Will Smith's character at the end of this movie? Not much about his actual life, but we know him. Same with Tommy Lee Jones. Like, we don't know. We know a little bit about like that he fell in love with the girl, and then he got waylaid by walking the wrong path of flowers. We know that. We don't know like much about the specificness of it, but we do know him from those moments of just pure reflection. And it works. It's such a magical way to do it.
Yeah. And you know what that is? That's that Spielberg Amblin magic, man. That's the thing that when you watch some of this stuff, you know you're watching an Amblin film when you're watching something like that. It hits a little different, and we don't talk enough about the fact that this is also an Amblin film.
Yep. It makes a lot of sense because it is that vibe.
Yeah, it totally is. And it's funny because that vibe can be anything. You recently were rewatching The Mask of Zorro.
I did, yep.
Talk about a film when you're watching it where you're like, God, this is a fucking Amblin movie. You don't really think about it because it's not the thing you think about when you think about Spielberg producing a thing. but you're watching it and you're like, God, this is an Amblin film.
It really is. It
Yeah.
really is. It's such a good it's just a good like because not obviously not Spielberg, but it just captures the vibe perfectly. And we have a lot of films that tried to do that after the 80s, the 90s. They tried to recapture it. This one is one of the ones that manages to succeed.
Yeah.
You could tell me that Spielberg was involved in this. I would buy it. I would absolutely buy it. Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's great. Also, can we talk about Frank the Pug and how adorable he is? I just love Frank the Pug. That we have an entire sequence where Kay has a standoff with a pug and includes shaking a pug and making the pug look like a crazy person, and Will Smith trying to look like less of a crazy person by telling everyone around him that the pug owes his friend money.
So good. It's so good. I love the fact that the pug afterwards, like he's chasing them down. He still has the dog instincts. Whatever. So that makes it even better too. He still has to fight those dog instincts. I guess Tim Blaney does the voice. Great voice coming out of that pug. It's such a good moment. It is an encapsulation of that wonky cartoonishness, but like grounded in that world. Because you could be grounded in a non-grounded world, right? And that's what makes this work. It's an ungrounded world, but the characters themselves are grounded in that world.
You don't like it? You can kiss my furry little butt.
So good.
So good, dude.
So
this is
good.
It's funny because it's one of those movies that I feel like I could just sit around all day gushing about it, not really have anything of note to say at the same time other than God, it's so good. God, it's so good. But interestingly enough, I do think it had its time and its place and continues to be weirdly relevant for the things that it's also trying to say about, weirdly enough. And it was a thing that International, I guess, was trying to do and they jettisoned out, but like about world politics and like and aliens and people coming looking for a place to stay and stuff like that. And I find it so fascinating that it's a movie where there's all these aliens and the assumption is that aliens are bad. But this movie is trying to make the point that, look, no, not all aliens are bad. There are bad aliens.
Even the bad aliens generally aren't even, but like they're threatening to destroy the world. But yeah, but it's more of like a misunderstanding of things than it is like they're not an evil race per se. But I do love they got a Galactic Standard Week. How was that? 1 hour.
1 hour. That's so good. And I love that it's just so chaotic in that way because it keeps the tension going where the movie just has to keep moving. It can't stop. And I love that.
Yeah. Same thing. Same. Completely same. I agree. Like, I feel like we're kind of going a little around in circles because we are kind of like, it's more of like a good moments, but like the vignette aspect of it and the vibe is really the important part about it. So we've already kind of gone over that. Specific like filmmaking it's solid. It's very extremely competent, but not like nowhere where we have to go into detail on it, like in a way. I will say I do love. We mentioned at the beginning. I want to throw out the ending as well.
Yes,
great way. Again, the pull out there and they go back and out. And also we learned like we're just a little ball in a marble sack of some other huge area. Love that aspect of it. Does the exact same thing it's supposed to do in the beginning, like it's saying we are small and insignificant on this planet compared to like the cosmos out there. Funny, it's fun, it fits the world, and I love it. So
I also want to shout out like the entirety of the third act is really great. Once they finally get to the bug and they go to Queens to deal with the situation. I love all that. Kay trying to sacrifice himself to get the galaxy. The reveal, obviously, that the cat's name was Orion. So Orion's belt was the literal belt on the cat that no one had thought of. I love all of that. And then even just Jay trying to mouth off to the bug is really just terrific stuff. Like it's handled so well.
When he steps on the bug, starts stepping on the bug, that's to get his attention. And it's so Will Smith and so fun though. I love that aspect of it.
It's perfect. This whole movie is. Again, I think you're right. There is a little bit to be said that we could be seen as spinning our wheels on how we're talking about it. But the truth of the matter is like I genuinely do think that we're talking about what is to me one of the most perfect films ever made, which is
Uh-huh.
so funny considering that it had a hell of a way to get there. Like every one of these movies has had like the worst production in history, and maybe that's why we haven't had a franchise. Maybe that's the problem. Like we have a
Maybe.
franchise, but maybe it hasn't been easy because every one of these movies has had some notoriously difficult production behind the scenes, whether it was this one, the second one, the third one, or international. Every one of them, if you look into it, had the world's worst production imaginable, that it is shocking when you watch it that it is even watchable.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong at all. I do wonder if it's the fact that, like we mentioned, how much it's more about the vibe than the story, because the story is pretty like it's there is a story. Like you said, it's kind of vignettes, which is almost like Saturday Night Live kind of version of it. It seems like that maybe that's hard to recreate. It's harder to recreate vibe without a story to back it up. If you
Yeah.
have a story you can tell, you can kind of create the vibe around it. But if the vibe is what you have, then it's hard to kind of recreate that and tell something meaningful. It just gets, not that it gets boring, but like you can't repeat that without going it, because it feels like it's the franchise feels like it's spinning its wheels at that point.
Well, right, exactly. And it's something I think that weirdly enough, and this is such a weird comparison, but I think you'll understand. I think it's why you look at what Kevin Smith did from Clerks to Clerks 2 to Clerks 3. He looked at those movies and went, I can't redo the original.
Right.
I can evolve from it and try to capture some of that magic, but I have to go a completely different direction. So all three of the Clerks movies are vastly different.
And it's impressive that like when Clerks 2 came out and when Clerks 3 came out, initially there was a lot of pushback against him for them because they weren't like the original. But
Right.
when you sit with them, I think Clerks 2 specifically has really grown in stature. But a lot of people, like for me, it's my favorite Kevin Smith film still at this point.
Right.
I think a lot of people have gotten to that point where, yeah, it's gone up there. I think Clerks 3 hasn't quite gotten that reevaluation yet. I think it hasn't been long enough to have that reevaluation yet. But people like us who kind of understand and look where he's going, we see it. And that's why I know it's your, like, I think it might be, is it your favorite?
It is. It's my favorite.
Right.
Because and my second favorite is Clerks 2 for the exact same reason.
Right. Because they actually take the first film and then not the first film is heartless, but it builds on that heart and builds to that point where we are growing with these characters. So
no, 100%. And I think that Men in Black they kept trying to recreate the vibe, and the story just never quite got there while they were doing it. And that's just kind of reality. And that's okay, because like I actually like every one of the sequels in some capacity, and you'll get to hear me talk about that as we go. But I'm glad they exist because I like the characters enough that I like revisiting this world.
I think they definitely captured it with Men in Black 3. They kind of got it smart because they had the story to go with that, I think, and that's what we're. Men in Black 2, I'm very interested to revisit because I remember not loving Men in Black 2 for that reason. So I'm interested to see if I catch more of it. I remember a lot of it. I mean, I've seen that one a couple of times, and I haven't watched it in a long time, so I don't remember the vibe I was catching. But I do think it had that spinning of the wheels kind of feel to it a couple of times. Maybe it was the return, having Tommy Lee Jones return the way he did. Maybe that was kind of part of it. I don't know what it was.
Sure.
But we'll find out as we do in a couple of weeks for sure. But I do think you're right, and I think international does feel that way a lot. Without the charisma, I would say without the charisma, because Chris Hemsworth and Tessa Thompson both have tremendous charisma, but I don't know if it's the right charisma for the vibe. That makes sense.
They're both really good in it, for what it's worth, and I really like Kumail Nanjiani in it too.
Yes, well, yes, and he kind of fits that. He fits the vibe better than they do, I think. I would say, honestly, argue that Tessa Thompson can really capture that vibe. Chris has a different kind of comic vibe that works sometimes and works much of the time. I don't know if it quite fits the Men in Black vibe, but that again.
Well, it's interesting because we're going to be talking about him back to back.
I know, that's the fun part about it. I thought his vibe worked completely well and perfectly in 2016's Ghostbusters.
Yeah. So I love it. Okay. So I think in the last hour, we have covered what we love about this film, so much so that it could be seen, as you said, as spinning our wheels. So I guess we just got to rate the son of a bitch.
Well, Nope, I have a few notes left I want to go through real
Okay,
quick.
perfect.
Quick one hits. My little love the tunnel sequence with the Elvis music.
Oh my God.
So
Yes.
good. When he plays Elvis, it just fits so well. He starts putting out, he's jibing, he's vibing, he's jamming, and he goes off on the ceiling. Will Smith, it's such a good, magical, fun Tommy Lee Jones moment. I love the guns, the Series 4 Atomizer.
Oh my God.
Noisy cricket.
And all I get stuck with is this midget cricket.
The best part about it is how Tommy Lee Jones plays it. Because also he's like waving it around. Tommy Jones, Jesus Christ. Because you learn that the noisy cricket's actually a very powerful gun.
I feel like I'm gonna break this damn thing.
I like the continued joke of Will Smith. Have you ever flashy thing me? Have you ever flashy thing me? No.
I ain't playing with you, Kay.
Okay. I love that the tabloids is the best investigative journalism on the planet. That's exactly what I mean about the vibe and like the groundedness of taking something in world and twisting it so it fits our world a little better, or this world rather, I should say, perfectly, and well played by Tommy Lee Jones. And finally, perfect Tommy Lee Jones delivery. I don't remember the exact line from Will Smith. He's like, "Look, I'm not calling, so don't call me junior, no sport, whatever you got, nothing like that makes me look like a youngster, whatever. Get that? Whatever you say, Slick."
Yep. And then it just stays the entire movie.
But
your skills mean dick.
So good. All right. Now we're going to rate Son of a Bitch on a scale of 1 to 11 because we always turn things up to 11 here on PLD Projects. Just as part of our Ghostbusters Men in Black season, we did rate Ghostbusters a perfect 11. I rated Ghostbusters 2 an 8.5, and you rated it a 6.5. One of our bigger differences. We tend to be pretty close in our ratings. Men in Black, though, I'm kind of curious what you got on it.
It's gonna come as really no shock, and if it's different for you, I understand, but it is very much a time and place thing for me. It was very important for me. It hit very different when it came out, and it has remained, like I said, very like monumental in my upbringing and in my life. Like I genuinely love this movie from top to bottom. I think it is so fun. It is so funny. It is so smart. It's a perfect movie. It is an 11 out of 10.
All right. Perfectly fine. That's why I actually assumed it would be. I gave it a 9 out of 11. I think it's a very solid movie. I have no real complaints about it. I just don't put it up like when I compare it to the Ghostbusters for me. That's my Ghostbusters. Like that's that perfect movie. This is not a perfect movie. Even if I don't have anything specific to knock down about it, it's just something about it didn't quite catch me as some other films do. Love it. Still watch it all the time. Have no problems with it. Maybe it's Linda Fiorentino. Maybe that sours it a little bit for me. Maybe it's the fact that it is more of a vibe film with more vignettes and everything else. Maybe I challenge a little harshly. Maybe, but I love that's perfect 11 for you, and I understand why it's a perfect 11 for you. I actually feel like maybe I short shafted it. I kind of forgot to count the Men in Black song at the end there being a perfect banger as well.
I mean, come on, that song is a perfect banger.
But I'm happy putting it up as a 9. Like I think I probably will underrate Men in Black and then overrate Ghostbusters 2. I think that's probably true. But that's again,
I can see that. I could 100% see that, and
that's where we come from. Our times. That's part of what seeing a movie does at certain ages.
So. Also, not for nothing, and this has nothing to do with this conversation. But before we get out of here, I need you all to know you have to go see Caught Stealing, the new Darren Aronofsky film, because Matt Smith is finally in a good movie.
I was so relieved.
Oh my God, dude. I can't tell you how happy I am to be like, oh, Matt Smith can actually be in a movie that's, good.
I mean, he actually had Doctor Who for us. He had House the Dragon, which he is great in. So at least he had another project. He had not had that film yet. That meant a damn.
Oh, and he's fucking terrific in a movie full of insanely terrific performances, including Men in Black's own Vincent D'Onofrio.
Yes, indeed. Love them, by the way. Vincent
and Liv Schreiber.
Liv Schreiber. And they're off the charts. The whole cast is just spectacular, honestly. So.
And it's so funny because Austin Butler makes it look so easy.
I will throw it out there that I have to give Jeff credit in the world. Austin Butler's greatest trick is that we can believe he is a bum, alcoholic, like down his luck kind of guy, and yet still have abs like that, and we don't question it.
No, not even a little bit. I was really pleasantly surprised, and a very interesting thing of note is that the movie is much more serious than the trailers would lead you to believe.
Yeah, I'll go with that. I'll give you that. I mean, it's actually it's less serious than an Aronofsky film usually is. It's sillier than that, but there's definitely a lot of seriousness to it for sure.
It's very Danny Boyle meets the Coen brothers in a very interesting way, because it kind of has Trainspotting 2 vibes. Not Trainspotting, like, but specifically Trainspotting 2 vibes. That I was really on wavelength with.
I kind of like visioned it. You know, I think Boyle is good. Boyle is good that way. But I think it's also kind of like I gave it a, if it was a bastard child of like Scorsese, and because like After Hours Scorsese, and Guy Ritchie a little bit too, which is kind of like, and is similar to Boyle in a way. I can see them in the same like ballpark in a way. That's what I kind of viewed it as, to be honest, like a serious, almost like a more serious Guy Ritchie, or a more, maybe it's the other way around. Maybe it's a more erratic or eclectic Scorsese kind of thing.
Yeah, 100%. It's really, really wonderful. If you guys have not seen it, please go give it a shot. Like, I'm very pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, me too.
Because I'm not always the biggest on Aronofsky, if I'm honest. Not because I don't think he makes good movies or anything, but because he can be a vibe that I just don't always vibe with.
Absolutely. There's definitely people things out there that it makes sense that, like, some people you just don't vibe with. Some directors you could love great films and love bad films, but sometimes there's just, for example, we have yet to really vibe outside of maybe Nosferatu with Robert Eggers, which is someone who we should love.
Yeah.
But we don't. It's weird that way, right? But
yeah, it really is.
It is what it is. All right. That's going to do it for us here. Obviously, next week, we are actually going to come back next week, even though we're usually on the channel, usually every other week. But next week, it is The Conjuring Last Rites. So we have to go back to our Conjuring franchise for the final film in the Conjuring saga, or at least definitely the final film that's going to feature Wilson and Farmiga. James Wan's been kind of hedging his bets about whether it's going to be the end of the phase or we're going to come back. Who knows? I think he still wants to make a Slender Man movie at some point. That's what he keeps talking about. But it's definitely an end of an era. So we got to go back for that. Hopefully it'll knock our socks off. We are, I don't know, want to say, are we cautiously optimistic or are we hopeful? I don't know. We don't love the director, Michael Chavez, but we're interested to see if Farmiga and Wilson can kind of overcome the hype, especially if we're going back to a haunted house type setting, which is where this franchise tends to be at its best. I'm excited enough about it. I can't wait to see. Hopefully Juan is a little more hands-on given the finale of Wilson and Farmiga. That's going to be next week. Are you looking forward to it? What are your thoughts right now?
I'm nervous. I'm hoping for the best, but I'm kind of anticipating the worst right now, I hate to say.
That's fair.
I really want to love it. Don't get me wrong. I'm just not sure I will in the end. So that is where I am at with that. I really hope that it actually lands. I have my feelings because the Chavez of it all does make me nervous. I haven't liked most of his, I haven't disliked most of his movies, but I haven't liked them either in this franchise.
We have kind of labeled him as like a competent but boring director pretty much, and so that's kind of so unfortunately what it's been like for a little while now, because for whatever reason James Wan loves him, or at least
it is what it is.
Loves him, so it is what it is. Exactly, it is what it is. Hopefully he knocks it out of the park. But for the last one, we'll find out. Stay tuned next week for that. The week after that, we'll be back on our Patreon, continuing our MCU rewatch. We're on Ant-Man next, Ant-Man. And then the week after that, we'll return to Men in Black for Men in Black 2. So a lot of stuff coming up on here on the channel. You can find us returning. I'm returning to review this week. We're covering the Big Finish V franchise stuff. Holy Snokes is this week, doing that with doing the news with Matty Gunn. No, Matty Gunner's off this week. It's just me doing news. Then we'll cover other stuff later on. And my Crown Jewels Queen podcast every week as well. PJ, where can the folks find you?
You guys can find me wherever podcasts are sold with this gentleman over here, as well as wherever social medias are sold at PJ_Campbell. I'm always around. It's good to see your faces, and
Always
I guess his.
Oh, sometimes. All right, brother. I will tell you. I will see you next week, like everybody else. Everybody else, join the Patreon if you can. Patreon.com/PLD Projects. You can get our MC rewatch and some early editions of other podcasts when they are available. Otherwise, if you can't, get that as well. Like, subscribe, comment, all that kind of stuff. That does help us as well. Help us fight that evil algorithm. And
Algorithm. Bye, friends.
bye, friends.